Hello everyone, welcome to another fun session with me. This is the second session of the Assorted Tile series, and in the first session we did our coffee stain tile. Yes, so this is the tile that we did, and thereafter I did one more tile. This is also a coffee stain tile which I've already posted on my Facebook and Instagram. I also actually made use of the remaining coffee and created some more random strings like these, which I have not yet tangled. Probably by the end of this session I should be able to post these tiles also. Yeah, today again we'll be trying something new. As I promised, all throughout this series we'll try different ideas, explore. Yes, so today we are going to be working with stencil. Actually, we don't need stencils in Zentangle. We can create art freehand. Yes. So, but it would be interesting at times to, use something. Actually, this was something I found in my daughter's stationery kit, and she has many stencils and she hardly uses them. So I thought, let's see how can we use it to create beautiful art. Yes, so this is a floral one, but you can pull out any stencil that you have. It's a thin sheet of paper with some cutout patterns, and patterns are basically leaves and flower. So I'm going to be using it to create my today's artwork. Yes, so it would be a good idea to actually tape it to your tile or on your working surface so that it doesn't move from its place. So I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to use a tape and just kind of stick my stencil to my working space. So this is so that it doesn't move from its place. Yeah, so other things that you would require today is a color panel, or if you have a brush pen, anything, right? Watercolors, basically I'm using watercolors, and I'm kind of sticking my stencil to my work surface so that it doesn't move from there. I'm going to be using a sponge and dab watercolor on these white spaces. Yes, the cutout spaces. So there are a whole lot of ways to work with stencils. If you search the internet, you can create beautiful background with stencils in many different ways. Yeah, so either you can use a sponge or you can use something like this. Yes, dab. So first we'll use green. So I'm going to wet my dark green. I'm using a dropper, and then I'm just going to use my sponge. You can add more water and then dab. So I'm using a darker green. You can also dab using your something like this. We don't want things very perfect. Yes, so you can also use a lighter green. So let's use the other side of our sponge and probably create some mix and match colors like this. Yeah, done with that. Then we have this one also. This is also kind of leaves. So I'm again going to be dabbing. Take it easy, not too much. Softly. You can also dab a little bit of darker green. Yeah, it's fun. Done with that, then let us move to a color, a reddish tone, right? So I'm going to wet my red, and then I'm going to again, so you can use a normal sponge or you can use the dab. As I mentioned, you can use this also very comfortably. And now I'm going to, that was supposed to be green. It's okay. Yeah, So you can use some green here. And if you want to add some more shade, so I'm just going to shade of yellow, a little lighter shade, and then adding some bit at the ends like this. Yeah, cool. So let us leave it here and let it dry up. So I think the color has dried up, and I'm just going to now remove the tapes. So carefully just release your stencil, remove the tapes. This was just to help you so that the stencil doesn't move from its place much while you are dabbing the color. Yeah. Yeah, so that is what we have got using a stencil. Again, it's your choice. You can very well create it freehand, or if you have some interesting stencils with you, use the idea to create beautiful backgrounds. Yes, that was the whole idea. Now let's get started with tangling. So if you want, you can use your brush pen and do a little bit more, add a little bit more to these beautiful flowers and petals. Yes, but I'm not going to do it right now. Let's see, first tangle, and then we shall see what more do we want to do. What you can also do here is use your gold jelly roll to outline these things. Yeah, something like this. I'm using my gold jelly roll and adding an outline. You can also use your black pen. It's entirely your choice. I feel like using gold because I want a subtle background. I don't want this thing to stand out too much. Yeah. So I'm using my gold jelly roll to add a subtle outline to the stencil drawing. As I mentioned, if you want it to be bold, you can use green, you can use black, use anything that you wish to. So you find a whole lot of stencils nowadays in any DIY kit. So it's a nice way to create an interesting background. Of course, you will tangle over it or around it. Using a nice gold jelly roll to give a subtle background, subtle outline to my stencil drawing. Yes, it also helps me demarcate my tangling area so that my tangles don't mess up. Yes. So let's get started. You can use any color. So instead of black, I'm going to be tangling with a burgundy pen, or you can use your brown pen to tangle. So I'm going to be starting with some MOOKAs again. Using my burgundy pen, extending this part to form a fescue, adding some layers underneath, and also capping it like this. Let's do one more. So the Tangle MOOKA has many variations. You can draw it the way you feel like at that point of time. Yes, you can draw a crescent moon here or a moon pie. Again, there are more spaces here, so let's extend it a little more. Go with the flow, draw the way you wish to, draw the tangles you feel like. I'm going to squeeze in some small tiny orbs here, like these. Very tiny little spaces, you can fill it up. You can also leave those spaces empty if you wish to. That's perfectly fine. Let us now add some flux. You can add orbs here and there, that's fine. Take your time. As I mentioned, go with the tangles that are coming to you at this point of time. Don't plan your tile much. Go with the flow. Small tiny spaces can be comfortably inked. Push in some orbs here and there. They look nice with the tangle flux. Let's extend it a little more. Add some nice orbs as fillers. Yes. Now let's move on to the next tangle. So you can choose any tangle of your choice. Let us add some spirals here. Slowly take your time. Draw any tangle that you feel like at this point of time. I'm drawing some big PRINTEMPS here. small tiny spaces. You can also add some weight. Yes. Go back and add a little extra thickness to the lines. You can do that as you draw, or you can come back and do that exercise. Like this. Yes. So this portion let us fill up with PRINTEMPS only. You can also draw over your stencil drawing. There is no rule that you cannot draw over it. So it's entirely your choice. How do you want it to be? Yes. Inking the cap with a small highlight like this. Yeah. So now we have filled up almost one half of the tile. Let us now move on to the next section. So what I'm going to do is add some probably BRONXCHEERS. Yes, sitting here. So you can draw it either ways, whichever way you are comfortable drawing it. I'm drawing an orb and inking it. However, I'm not inking it completely. I have some empty spaces there, which helps me differentiate between the various orbs that I'm drawing. Yes, you can add more. Slowly take your time. Going to add a stem and then draw a few of them behind. Take your time. A beautiful drama tangle to draw. Yes. Now let us move to another tangle called DIVADANCE. So I'm going to start with an spiral and then aura the spiral and then add small humps here and there as I aura the spiral. Right, so these are all Zentangle original tangles. DIVADANCE, the rock and roll version. It's just about auras and some bit of weight here and there. Tiny little spaces, just push in some tipples and you are sorted. So that's one. I'm going to add one or two more of these beautiful DIVADANCE flowers. Slowly aura, come back, add some bold inked sections here and there. Again aura, go back, add some ink, some extra ink. like this. Yes, beautiful tangle to draw. Take your time. Yeah, so we have added 2 of these beautiful DIVADANCE. You can go ahead and add more. Let's now add some simple tangles like BETWEED. I'm going to go with some simple tangles like BETWEED. Tiny little spaces here. I'm deciding on my tangles based on the spaces I have. Of course, there can be many other tangles that can fit in there. Yes, I'm going to again add BETWEED. Take your time. Yes, still drawing my BETWEED. It's a nice woven look. And then finally we have 2 more sections. I think we can do the same tangle. Yeah, so small little space left here. Let's do the tangle poke roots. Yeah, maybe. So let's add some nice poke roots and fill up the rest of the space. Yeah, very tiny little space. Of course, you can push in some more PRINTEMPS, or you can add more of poke roots. Drawing behind. Take your time. Drawing behind is always a good idea as far as Zentangle is concerned. Adds to the look of your tile. Nice and beautiful big ones. Filling up the rest of the space. It's not necessary that you have to fill up the entire space. You can always leave some space empty. That's again your choice. Yes, so we have these spaces in between. Just squeeze in some nice orbs. Wherever you can. Very tiny spaces, you can just fill it, ink it, color it. Like this. Yeah. So we are done with our tangling part. Let us now get to shading. So I'm going to be starting first with my MOOKAs. So we'll add graphite here. Make sure your pencil is sharp. And then I'm going to add on one side of the flux. Not too less, not too much. Yes, let us blend step by step. Do not blend too much. You want the whites also to show. Yes. You can also use your colored chalk to shade. Let's now add to one side of our BRONXCHEERS. So we can highlight the other side. To our poke roots. Just a slight touch, not much. Wherever there are overlaps, you can add some graphite there. Blend it. Poke roots. The shape is important. Again, a nature inspired tangle. Yes. So that was poke roots. Going next to our BETWEED. So I'm just going to shade on one side of the grid line since spaces are small. We don't need to add too much shading here. Slight subtle shading. Take your time. Yes, so it highlights the grid, and that's what we are doing here as far as BETWEED is concerned. The folds are pretty small, so you cannot possibly. Then as far as DIVADANCE is concerned, I'm going to darken one half and then highlight the other half. That's the best way to shade your DIVADANCE, especially the small ones. Yes, you can add slight touches on the orbs, not much. These are too small, so we need not touch it. And then shade over the weights, just like a V. like this, shade the overlaps. Be patient when you are shading, don't haste up. Yes, as I keep saying, with practice you will realize that this is the most interesting part of the tile that you are drawing, because it adds life to your tile. So give it the time that it deserves. Small little flux left here and there. So this was an organic stencil, so I used mostly the organic tangles, but again it depends on what stencil you are using. If it is more of a geometrical stencil using geometrical shapes, then it would be a good idea to choose those kind of tangles. Yes, so this is again just a food for thought. Take a cue, make it your own. Let's now add chalk and highlight the other half of our BRONXCHEER. Highlight the other half of our DIVADANCE. The smaller the pencil, the easier to work. Highlighting the other half of the BETWEED. You can add some touch on your MOOKA, although it's not required. You can highlight the other half of your FLUX. It won't show much on white, but yes, you can give touches. You can highlight the other half of your PRINTEMPS. Wherever there is an overlap, do add graphite. So whatever little highlights I can, I am adding that, and then probably you can blend it a little. Use a different stub and just blend your chalk. If it is cakey, soften it if required. Yes, you can add some more zen here. Just a slight weight at the two corners. Of that line that you drew for poke root, the center stem. Yes, and that's about it. I don't think we need to do anything else to our tile. So we have a nice and beautiful background. So where the PRINTEMPS are overlapping, don't lose that opportunity to shade the overlaps. It helps the PRINTEMPS pop up. And that's about it. You can color this. Oh, I've switched pens. Just colored. If you want, you can redo some of the lines after you have shaded. So I'm doing that for my MOOKAs. And that's about it. I don't think we need to do anything else on this tile. If you want to touch your brush pen on these colored sections, you can do that. I'm going to leave it as such. Let us close our tile here. One small poke root here which has not been shaded. Let's use it to put our chop. Yes, do sign and date your tile. So this was one idea on how to use your stencil. Now I could have used it one another way, and that is leave these sections white and tangle in the rest of the sections, but I didn't do that because I have already done an entire series on the whiteouts, yes, where you leave a particular section of the tile absolutely white, and that section can be anything. It can be leaves, petals, flowers, anything, right? So that's another way you can use your stencil. Just outline it, leave it as such, and tangle in the rest of the section. You can also add colors in the rest of the section and then tangle over it. Yes, so that would be absolutely alternate, or opposite of what we have done in this style. So I shall see you again with some more interesting sessions. Till then, have a good time. Bye bye.